Long before the universe began, there was a kingdom at the very heart of all things. It was called Axis Mundi, the still point, where heaven and earth had not yet been born. There sat a queen, the first and only woman, the mother and goddess of the void. She ruled in silence, but her kingdom was empty. There was no life, but there was no death. No light, no shadow, no birth, no marriage, no seed, no harvest, only silence, only hunger, only despair. The people starved without food. The strong devoured the weak. Cruelty was their only law, sorrow their only song. They longed for death, yet death had not been made. Still, one prophecy was remembered. On the day of the comet, when a blazing chariot crosses the heavens, the queen shall bear twins, and the fate of the kingdom shall be changed. At last, the heavens stirred. The comet split the sky, brighter than fire, swifter than a storm. Its golden chariot blazed above, and a radiant light fell upon the queen. She was lifted into the air. Her body shook. She cried aloud, the first cry the people had ever heard. They trembled in fear, but hope flickered in their hearts. And when her pain was ended, the queen returned, and in her arms she carried two newborns. The queen raised them high and named them Light, the first radiance, breaking the endless night. Darkness, the first shadow, giving shape to the void. Then the world was changed. The sun rose, the moon followed. Day and night began their dance. The soil awoke, and green things broke forth. There was food, there was rest, there was peace, there was joy. But with the birth of light and darkness came also death. The people lost their immortality. No longer would they endure forever. Only the queen and her sons, light and darkness, remained untouched by death. Then sorrow fell upon the land. Death walked among them, and both young and old were taken. The people wept as their loved ones vanished like smoke. In their fear, they ran to Light, pleading for him to drive death away. But when he could not, they turned their anger upon Darkness and whispered that he was to blame. Darkness, whom the people feared, was always quiet and spoke less. Yet his words, though few, were always compelling. Unlike Light, who was always smiling, loved and praised by everybody. Everything Light touched came to life, and the people felt joy in his presence. Darkness was a sweet and loving person in truth, but people misjudged him. Every misfortune in the kingdom was blamed on him. Despite how troubled and heartbroken the people were, as death kept stealing their loved ones, they ran to Darkness in anger, accusing him of being the cause. And Darkness replied to them with heavy words. You only remember me when calamity befalls you. You blame me for your sorrow, yet you praise Light for every good thing. Human life is but a breath, rising like morning mist, fading before the setting sun. At any moment it can be taken. Nothing endures but memory and shadow. But the people were not pleased with his response. They left with hatred in their hearts. The people started seeing Light as their savior. They worshipped him, bowed at his feet, showered him with gifts, and adored him without end. Darkness was not happy with the way the people disrespected him and failed to see his importance in the kingdom. But he bore the pain in silence and endured. A few years later, the queen announced she was weary and no longer wished to reign for eternity. A successor must be chosen. Upon hearing this, Light stepped forward proudly. He looked at the queen and declared, "Who else deserves the throne if not me? The people love me. I give life, reveal truth, heal the sick, guide the lost. I defeat fear and comfort the people. Not like my brother, who only commands respect through fear. Light laughed out loud, and the people shouted in unison, "Crown Light our king! Crown Light our king!" But darkness rose in disagreement and said to the queen, "Although the people hate me and disregard me, still I give them rest. While light awakens and stirs, I grant dreams, sleep, and restoration. I balance life with death. I cover what must remain hidden, while light exposes all things." But before he could finish, one of the people cut him short and shouted, "You brought death upon us. You filled our lives with sorrow." The people roared in agreement, "We only want light as our king." The queen listened and finally spoke. "The people have chosen whom they want." And she declared, "Light as king." Darkness was not pleased with the queen's decision. His face darkened with sorrow and anger. He left the kingdom that very day, going far away to where no one could find him. Then the reign of light began. At first, everything went well. The people rejoiced, singing praises to light. Crops grew tall, rivers flowed freely, and joy filled the kingdom. The people credited light with chasing death away. For a while, peace and happiness returned. But after a few years, the endless sunlight became unbearable. There was no shadow, no night. The people and animals could no longer sleep or rest. The crops began to dry up. The plants withered under the unceasing sun. The land turned into a desert. The oceans shrank, then vanished into dust. The kingdom burned under eternal day. Then death returned, greater than ever before. It swept through the kingdom, killing both young and old. The people were struck with grief once more. They ran to Light, begging him for help. But Light could not stop the sun from shining. He could not halt the plants from withering. He could not save the dying seas. Once again, their loved ones perished before their eyes. The people despaired and began praying for the return of darkness. After 18 long years of endless sunlight, darkness returned. He came cloaked in shadow, and the people who once despised him now bowed at his feet. They begged him to restore balance, to end their suffering, to bring back rest and peace. Light himself was humbled. He fell before his brother and said, "Forgive me. I always mocked you. I looked down on you. But now I see the truth. Without you, I am nothing. The world cannot endure without shadow." And so, the kingdom learned this truth. Light without darkness is ruin. Darkness without light is despair. But together, they are balance. From that day, light and darkness ruled together. Light ruled the day, darkness ruled the night, and balance returned to the kingdom.